Hey friends, Rob Phoenix, Pella Guy here. Hope you're all doing well. It's Labor Day weekend, so yay to those who benefit from having that day off. We're at the end of August, which is nice. I'm very excited for September. I'm looking forward to fall. I'm looking forward to Halloween. Uh, so anyway, somebody in my group had mentioned something about energy work, and it just kind of got me thinking about the different types of work that we do in the Braucherei tradition. The actual main type of work that we do is our healing work, and that's the work that comes to us from the grimoires. And the grimoires, of course, we've talked about this ad nauseum, trace back to like medieval Catholicism. Well, that sort of work, when somebody comes to you for powwowing, we're not doing energetic work. The powwow Braucherei tradition is not one of energetic healing. It is one of magic words, literally. Uh, Magic words and gestures, and spoken charms, written charms, amulets, talismans, that sort of thing. And those basic magic words are like codes and keys to unlock certain principalities and powers that then filter down from above to below to heal your patient. Uh, so that's what powwowing Braucherei work is. And that's an important distinction to make because we're not an energetic healing tradition, whereas we have to call upon this energy and manipulate energy around us and such, because then what's the point of anything else? And nowhere in our grimoire works does it say that. There's no teaching throughout our history, all the way back to medieval Catholicism, that says that. It's literal magic words. um, that being said, when we do the flip side of our work is also a lot of uh, astral plane work. Now, the idea of the astral plane and energetic, like this energy field and energy manipulation and the astral plane is kind of pretty new. It's really only from like the 1800s, like the Theosophical Society. Um, that's where they really formulated those things that we now use in what's called Western occultism. It became a big part of New Age practice and such. Um, so the idea that we can, like pull energy in from outside sources and manipulate it and shape it and blast it forward into something else. Uh, Honestly, I believe that a lot of that is in the realm of make believe. And I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying this is from my experience. Now, I've been doing occult work since I was a teenager, but more seriously since my very early 20s. So reliably for 30 plus years. Uh, and one of the big things that we learned when I was part of the witchcraft cult was energy work, energy manipulation, and trying to sense energies and all this. And I don't know, I really struggle with that because I'm like, I don't know, I just feel like something's not right about this. Like I can read a room and I can pick up on various cues and such with people so I can tell how they're feeling and whatnot. And I think maybe sometimes people confuse that with like sensing an energy or a vibe. Like you just kind of walk in and your mind instantly sees all these tiny little visual clues that like lets you know, like, yeah, these two people are fighting. And you walk in and you see that really quick and you're like, whoa, I can cut the tension with a knife. But really, you picked up on a whole bunch of visual cues very quickly because your mind is pretty good. I'm not saying energy doesn't exist because in the, I don't know, the second half of the 90s, probably late 90s, it may have been like 97. I can't even remember anymore. Um, I had sciatic nerve pain, and at the time I had no health insurance. So I didn't want to go to a doctor because I couldn't afford it. Uh, and so somebody said, well, I'm a Reiki master and I'll give you some Reiki therapy, and you have to come 3 times. And so I was going to this woman the first time. I thought, okay, that was a thing. And then the second time I went, something really strange happened. Like I, I barely remember it, but I just remember feeling like I had my eyes closed and I was laying on my stomach, on this like Reiki kind of situation. I guess kind of like a massage table or whatever. And I just felt like my, I can't explain it, like my mind was pulled out through the bottom of my body, like through a tunnel. And like my awareness just was like pulled out through this tunnel from my body. And I could see myself laying at the table. And I felt like as I was like standing there maybe, or maybe I was kind of floating above myself. It was very quick. It all happened in the span of seconds, or if that. But I just remember feeling like I had this power or this energy, electricity flowing through me. And then the next thing I know, it was done. It was over. And I told her about it, and she's like, "Wow, that's very intense." And I said, "Is that normal?" And she said, "No, but I think it means I need to give you an attunement." So literally right then and there, she sat me up and she did this whole like attunement where she sort of like did these sort of symbols over me, to various places on my body. She did like the Reiki symbols and such. And it's probably for the next week. I remember it being at least a week. It might have been 2 weeks, but no more than that, definitely. I was like, oh my God, the palms of my hands were like turning dark red. My hands felt very hot, and I was just like, I have to like put my hands on somebody, not inappropriately, but it was like if I just saw somebody, I just felt like I just needed to like grip their arm, or like they needed something. And I can't explain it, but I was also like having strange dreams, and I swear I was seeing like ghosts or something. I don't know, I can't explain it, but I was like washing dishes. Michael was my ex, but we had this little house together, this little like cottage kind of in the woods outside of Newville, Pennsylvania. And I was standing there washing dishes, looking out the window, and I just felt this light touch on my like here. And when I glanced over, it was very brief. I mean, it was just for the briefest of instants. I had this flash of a woman standing next to me, and that she just like touched me, but then she was gone as soon as I saw it. You know what I mean? It was just on the periphery for a split second. And a couple times I thought I saw like things in the trees flying around or something. I can't remember. But anyway, it eventually toned itself down and then it stopped. It went away. But every once in a blue moon, every once in a great while over the past like 30 years, or I guess it has been almost 30 years, uh, when I'm powwowing for somebody, I'll notice my hands get a little warm. And I remember maybe like 10 years ago, I asked this lady who said she had Reiki, and I said, "Does it just kind of like automatically kick in?" And she said, "No, you have to say Reiki, 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 and then it turns on." And I just thought that was the dumbest thing in the world. And it just kind of spoiled me of it. And I just never intentionally thought about it again. Um, I don't know why I went off on this, but what I found is when it comes to powwow work, our quote unquote energetic stuff is all on the astral plane. So when we intentionally, and we have our own methods for getting ourselves out of our body into the astral plane. And this is the thing in Braucherei that you only learn if you're taught by another Braucher. And I actually have done videos on it. So uh to teach it because I think it should be shared. But basically we're just like literally throwing ourselves outside of our body onto the astral plane. And that's when the work we do takes on that more sort of energetic visual stuff, like this poster of John Constantine behind me. Like in the comics, they draw his magic like as pentagrams and like cool, like astrological and elemental and alchemical symbols around him and such. And like that's just for effect, but that's kind of what it's like on the astral plane. That's how it's seen. So I think that if we were like if I was trying for somebody, just they were sitting in my kitchen, I was doing general healing. Now, during regular powwow work, you are not trying to manipulate energy because it's God doing it, not us. Uh, So if I'm like intentionally trying to pull some energy from somewhere and like force this feeling in my hands, I'm putting myself before the power of God, and that's ego, and that's wrong. But on the astral plane, if you were to be able to see a side by side, like me doing this healing for somebody in the physical and then the astral version, that's where you would see the Holy Spirit, the power coming through me, formulating, things like this, maybe, whatever. Um, But when I intentionally go on the astral plane, that's where I get to choose. And if I'm trying for someone via astral plane because it's like long distance or something, that's where I can visualize like a hex sign in its energetic form, placing it over the person or a sator square or whatever, whatever. That's where we kind of like conjure those things on the astral plane to place them over people or places or whatever. So while we're working physically in the physical world and letting God do his thing on the astral world, you would see the Holy Spirit doing all that. And then when we are in the astral world, it's purely us manipulating that energy of the Holy Spirit. And I know that sounds vague and it sounds weird. Like, why don't we do that in the physical world? Because then we're putting ourselves first. The astral world is different because it exists like in our minds. It exists on this totally other plane where we can warp and shift reality. Um, and that's where we're kind of like allowed to do that. I don't know how else to say it. It's kind of strange, but anyway, I know a lot of people who do kind of like energetic healing and work and such, and I don't know what their process is, but my understanding and my personal work and what I teach my people is what I just basically said to all of you. So anyway, that's that. It's kind of an interesting talk. I'm sorry about my hair. I just got out of the shower, so my hair is drying. Uh, there you go. So everybody's experience with energetic work is different. Now, I remember years ago when I was in the witch cult, like I showed up at it was just like New Year's Eve, everybody's getting together or something. I don't know. And it was fine, but I walked in and like everybody's fine, everybody's nice, and we were all talking and hanging out. But then like one of the elders in the group was like, "Hey Rob, you're okay. Your energy feels a little off." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But then all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Yeah, oh my God, I'm like actually getting sick standing next to you." And like, "Yeah, it's like your energy is so crazy, it's making me dizzy." And I'm like, "What the fuck is happening right now? I'm totally fine." So I think a lot of it is BS, or at least a lot of people who say that they can sense it and such is BS. Um, so I prefer like to surround myself with people who are being honest about that kind of thing. Because I don't feel it like that around people. I just don't think that's how it works. I mean, maybe some people are very skilled to do that, and that's cool. And then I believe them. But yeah, I think for everybody to just be like, yeah, I can sense it. Yeah, it's this and that and this. Um, I don't know. I don't know about that. But anyway, and then another instance when I was getting my third degree in the witchcraft cult, the teacher had said, I need you to cast a circle totally in your mind, and it had better be there. In other words, all the elders were seated around me, and they all insisted that they wanted to like feel the circle. Um, so I did the circle in my mind, and in my mind it was one way, and but everybody else was like, "Oh, it has such a nice, pleasant energy. Oh, it's very soft. It's very faint. I like it." But in my mind, that's not what I was doing. Um, I was throwing up like in my mind, I was throwing up like barbed wire and iron nails and like metal and such, just like to be as powerful as I could. And we're like, it's so soft. And so I thought, I don't know. I don't know what's what, but um, I don't know. So there we are. It's an interesting subject. I'm totally open to it, but I just don't like the bullshit. So anyway, that's that. Hope you're having a good weekend. There's lots going on in the Harrisburg area. And we are taking part in none of it because I'm just in the mood to like isolate this weekend. Uh, that's it. God bless you guys. Love you all very much. Let's talk again really soon.